Okay, as promised, I am going to get a few chapters read and recorded of Klawde, Evil Alien Warlord Cat, written by Johnny Marciano and Emily Chenoweth. Let's see, illustrated by Rob Mamertz. All right, so there's the cover. There's that. Prologue. Date, the 789th day of the year 58-493-D. Planet Litterbox. Place, the supremest court of all galactic order. My enemies came for me at nap time. Before I could even unsheathe my claws, they pounced atop me. They tied me up and chained my paws, and then they dragged me from my holding cell into the supremest court of all galactic order. It was a most unpleasant way to wake up, though I could not fight them. I yowled so ferociously that the courtroom crowd, traitors, all of them, hissed and scattered. Only one cat had not betrayed me, my loyal minion, Floofy Fire. "You'll always be my Lord High Emperor," he called, "and I will always be your—" Ow! Someone had smacked him on the back of the head. It was the greatest traitor of them all, my former second-in-command, General Fang. "Not such a mighty and powerful warlord now, are you?" he said, purring. My tail slashed in anger. "I shall have my revenge on you, Fang." "We shall see about that," Fang said, and bared his teeth at me as the 13 noble elders filed into the room. The chief elder licked his right paw and called the court to order. "My fellow cats," he began, "thousands of years ago, when our planet was overrun by criminal felines, our wise ancestors decided that these evildoers must be exiled. Far across the universe, they discovered a vast wasteland of a planet inhabited by a race of carnivorous ogres. For generations, we sent our convicts there. None ever returned. But in the year 49-763-B, the punishment was deemed too cruel, and it was decreed that no feline, no matter how evil, no matter how tyrannical, would ever again be sent to this horrible place. And so it has been, until you came along. You, former High Lord Emperor, have been so relentless in clawing your way to power, so ruthless in your evil schemes of domination, and so dedicated to general crimes against felinity, that we are forced to resurrect this ancient punishment." The crowd gasped. "Have you anything to say, Whiz-cuz?" asked the chief elder. A lesser cat might have begged for mercy, but all I showed them was my scorn. "Every one of you feckless felines will rue the day you overthrew me, greatest warlord the universe has ever known. For the likes of a pathetic schemer like General Fang, you may shoot me into space like yesterday's trash, but I swear to you that one day soon I will be back." General Fang chuckled. "You will be an ogre's breakfast." With a wave of Fang's paw, the guards unbound me and forced me into the waiting teleporter. Brilliant green light flashed as the wormhole opened. In an instant, I was transported 2,900.4 million light years across space to the most horrible, distant, and desolate planet in the universe, Earth. That was the prologue. Chapter 1, Saturday. It was a rainy Saturday night, and I was lying on the floor of my new living room, staring at the ceiling and wishing I were anywhere but here. Dad was watching baseball, Mom was working on her laptop, and I was experiencing a life-threatening level of boredom. I still couldn't believe what had happened. Up until last week, I'd been living a really great life in Brooklyn, New York. But then my parents decided to move 2,900.4 miles across the country to here, Elba, Oregon. If you ask me, and no one did, this was a terrible idea. In New York, I could visit 3 friends without ever leaving my apartment building. And when I did leave, I could walk to the library, a comic book store, a candy shop, and 2 pizzerias, all without having to cross the street. If I left my house in Elba, I could walk to 12 trees, an ant mound, a hornet's nest, and a bunch of rose bushes. Nature was everywhere, and it was spooky. According to my mom, we'd moved to Oregon because she'd gotten a better job, and I got to have a big bedroom and a backyard. But that stuff didn't matter to me. Where were the comic book stores and the pizza places? There wasn't a single shop on my street and not even a laundromat with good vending machines. Here in Oregon, I had nothing to do and 0 friends, which was maybe why I hadn't unpacked yet. But then again, neither had my parents. What their excuse was, I had no idea. I just picked up the latest America Man comic to read for the millionth time when it happened. A bright green flash lighting up the sky outside my window. It only lasted a second, and then everything went dark and rainy again. "Did you see that?" I asked. "Yes!" my dad hollered. "Torres stole third base! Third base!" "No, that crazy green light." My mom looked up from her laptop. "Wait, what, dear?" "The green light outside," I said. "Oh, Raj, that was just lightning," my mom said. "Okay, so another weird thing about Oregon? Green lightning?" I went back to reading my comic, and then the doorbell rang. Ding dong! The doorbell? Who could that be? Chapter 2. Here I was, alone, on Earth. It was even more horrifying than the ancient text had described. It was nighttime. Blazing lights shone down from the top of huge branchless trees as I scanned the area for carnivorous ogres and other dangers. Something wet hit me on the nose. There was a liquid falling from the sky. Was this some sort of chemical weapon? Was I under attack? I rushed under a leafy bush, but it offered little protection. The liquid slid down my lustrous fur, chilling me to the bone. I didn't know what it could possibly be. But I hated it. I had to find shelter. Thankfully, many of the trees on this planet did have bushes. Branches. Whoops. Let me show you this picture. So if you picked up, you can tell, or you've figured out that the chapter, the prologue started that this cat, Wizkuz, was telling the story, was the speaker in the prologue, and then chapter 1 was Raj, and now Wizkuz is our narrator again. So it seesaws back and forth, which sometimes can be hard to tell if you're not reading the text. Thankfully, many of the trees on this planet did have branches. I climbed the nearest one, from which I immediately found evidence of humans. All around stood their massive fortresses, packed in so close they almost touched one another. High wooden walls surrounded their small patches of territory. In front of the fortresses sat huge tank-like vehicles. This must be a very warlike planet indeed. Yeah, see those wooden fortresses? And those tank-like vehicles? Wizcuz has a very different outlook on Elba, Oregon, does he not? I needed to gain entry into one of these fortified structures. I didn't know what the ogres within would do to me, but this falling liquid was intolerable. I raced to the nearest fortress. Next to its front portal was a glowing button, a push button to open the entrance. Perhaps this would allow me to sneak in without being noticed. I leaped up and I pressed it. Ding dong. Why did it make that awful noise? Chapter 3, still Saturday. Did anyone else hear that? I asked. Hear what? My mom said. When she was working, the world could end and she wouldn't notice. The doorbell! It must have been the TV. It must have been the TV, dear, Mom said, still not looking up from her laptop. We don't have friends here yet. That was for sure. Ding dong! There it went again. I got up and I peeked through the front door window, but I couldn't see anyone. Then I heard a terrible noise. It sounded like a possum being electrocuted. Was it some kind of nature right at our front door? Back home, the closest I ever got to nature was when I watched pigeons fighting over pizza crusts on a sidewalk. Living here was terrifying. Finally, the awful squealing stopped. Nervously, I opened the door and I peered into the darkness. There was a cat sitting on our welcome mat. That terrible sound had been meowing. Was that you? I said. What are you doing here, kitty? And then I felt really stupid because cats can't talk. The cat was skinny, wet from the rain, and didn't have a collar. Maybe he was a stray. Maybe I could keep him. I had always wanted a cat. I had always wanted a pet, especially a cat, and now one had appeared on my doorstep. I was about to try to pet him when he raced between my legs into the house. Ah! My mom shrieked like she'd seen a rat. I ran into the living room. Mom was clutching her chest and staring at the cat, who was frozen in a low crouch. Where did that thing come from? She said. And why is it in our house? He was on the porch, I said. The doorbell rang and there he was. My dad smiled. Maybe it's a welcome to the neighborhood gift. My mother did not smile. A plate of cookies is a welcome to the neighborhood gift. A cat is a reason to call animal control. Can we keep him? I asked. Mom looked at me like I was insane. Here, kitty, 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 Dad said, reaching out a hand to pet him. The cat swatted at him with his paw. It's probably feral, Mom said. No, he's not, I said, even though I had no idea what feral meant. He's just scared. Can I keep him, please? My parents looked at each other and then at me. Then we all turned to the cat. He was staring right back at us. He meowed. At least I think that's what the sound was. And I think we'll stop there.